caravan that costs less than a brand new phone. For some people that sounds like the perfect deal, doesn't it? And it can really be one. Some early 2000s caravans are an absolute bargain, but other ones are dying structurally without you even noticing it. So today, we're gonna answer the question, are the early 2000s caravans first-time buyer's dream or a money pit? Welcome back to the Caravan Doctor. In this channel, we aim to take our time and look at caravans practically, so we can actually find out how are they built, how do they age, and are they actually worth your hard-earned money. So the biggest reasons why people go into the early 2000s caravans are a few, but the main one is pricing. Yes, you can find them hovering around over the internet from £1,000 all the way up to £6,000, all depending on their size, on their make, what sort of layout they have inside there, what sort of features and different equipment is in there. But it's not that big of a price for a normal day family to pay for their first time caravan. Actually saying that, in the early 2000s, almost all manufacturers have their standard layouts and can accommodate between 2, 4 and 6 people to sleep in them. You have a three-way fridge, a boiler for hot water and the Truma space heater. So pretty much everything you will need to operate the caravan in normal conditions. Also in the layouts, we already can see the fixed beds sneaking in the different manufacturers' options. And we do have the opportunity of different size of washroom as well. We can have one where the toilet is exactly next to the shower sort of cubicle that you have to use, or you've got separate shower rooms, which give you much more space and comfortability in the use. So on paper, that actually sounds great, but the truth is a little bit more difficult than you think. So the early 2000 caravan is established very simple as a way of building, and effective to be fair for that point in time. In these caravans, we've got your standard classical wooden frame structure, which means what exactly? So we've got a metal chassis right at the bottom of the caravan, holding everything together. Then we start with a 2-layered wooden floor, which sits directly onto the chassis, and the actual frame of the caravan, which is not very thick, as you can see. The wall contains of an external aluminium sheeted layer. Then you have wooden frame inside, especially around windows and other openings that you might have. Insulation in the bit where there isn't any openings. Wooden thin board on the backside and covered with a durable, thick wallpaper. So that actually sounds very good and solid, you may think. But there is one major problem when we're talking about the classic style of manufacturing of caravans, and that is water. Water gets in there once, ruins everything. So usual places where water can get inside your caravan wall in these older models is somewhere like this. All the joints where the panels overlap each other. So are the windows and the hinges that hold the windows in a style of window like this as well, all the way around it. Doors and also different bits that you have on the roof. Hatches, aerials and everything else you can think of. Hence why, knowing that these places are a potential problem, you need to be very cautious of them. Because, as I said, they can have issues, but you might not be able to see them. Let me show you. If we take a look at this corner for an example. This is the place where the panels join, right above the windows. And also, this is the place where the front and the side panel join to each other. If you've got a leak from the outside, it's gonna start showing up mainly in here. But for it to show up in the corner, it'll take quite a bit of time. What water does is finds its way down and then goes exactly there, into the corner and the floor as well. So these are areas where you have to be really vigilant and you have to keep an eye out for any suspicious things, like softness in the wall, for example, or difference in the texture of the actual wall when you touch it. You can go into a little bit more detailed check with a moisture meter, but we'll get that in another episode where we'll look them a little bit more specifically and how they can help us with older caravans and with newer caravans. But for the minute, if you touch it and it don't seem right to you, or it's too cold on touch, there could be a potential problem in there. The floor is another thing that seemingly looks without any problems. Like I mentioned earlier, these caravans, being built in the early 2000s, they have a typical sandwiched floor structure, which means 2 bits of ply, one on top of each other, to give enough sturdiness in the corners that are further away from the chassis. But with not good maintenance and people overlooking little aspects of the external of the caravan, water can start going through either walls or different openings again, reach to the floor and cause you big headaches. That's why the floor again is another place where you need to be vigilant, and you have to be looking around very carefully when you're walking for any flexing or any deformities in it. So a caravan can look beautiful, but the expensive problems are usually hidden away, something that you can't catch with a naked eye. But when is a caravan like that a good purchase? I would say from my experience, when there isn't any issues in the floor, in the wall structures, and also I can't find any sort of damp or water ingress, let it be old or from recent in the caravan, I think it's not a bad shout to get it. Also, I would really recommend all the equipment that is inside there to be shown working, so that you are sure that you're not gonna have any problems with that, or at least not for the time being. Because let's be honest, a caravan is like a car. You have to do stuff to it to be able to keep it for longer. But nevertheless, if these key elements are in good shape, and most importantly, the price is reasonable, I think that a purchase of this sort is not bad. Also, I do think that something like that is a really reasonable option for people that are just joining caravanning to have a taste and decide for themselves, is that something they enjoy or not? Because the amount of money that you're gonna spend on a caravan like this is way less than you would do on a fairly newer one. And if you decide that this is not your thing, you can easily pass it along to the next enthusiast that wants to try out caravanning. But let's also not forget that sometimes it's way more reasonable for you to walk away from a purchase like that. And I will tell you why. Like we mentioned, what are the reasons for a good purchase? Here the reasons for a bad purchase are exactly the same. Water issues, structural issues, not working appliances are major subjects that will draw us away from a purchase. Also, if the price and the person that is selling it is not reasonable and does not look good to you, I would definitely walk away from that option. Because when you're purchasing something like that, you go with the clear intent that you want to get something that you're going to have nice new memories in there, that you're going to enjoy and appreciate when you're out and about. But starting off like that, trust me, this could turn into a total nightmare where, believe it or not, the money pit situation is going to start showing. So are the early 2000s caravans a dream or a disaster? This answer is actually very simple. If the structure is solid and everything is dry, they could be a fantastic first-time caravan. But if the structure is compromised, the cheapest caravan you can buy could turn into the most expensive one that you own. I'm curious though, if you had to buy your first caravan, would you go for an early 2000s model, or would you rather prefer something newer but much more expensive? Let me know down in the comments. And there you have it. That's the answer of today's question. If you're interested to find out what you need to do when you're actually out and about looking for new caravans, stay tuned with the Caravan Doctor.